That could be very.
Down,
Hey, everybody.
That could be read
I'm
two
hit, I'm hit.
ways.
I'm hit.
That's supposed to be Mayday. That doesn't sound like Mayday.
Yeah, well,
to me.
I suppose it's supposed to be an SOS, is it?
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Here
is
is
not-
Merman. We are going down. I repeat, Merman is going down.
Who?
Merman?
Mayday. Going down.
Oh, that's better.
We're celebrating May Day here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Captain Stefan said he couldn't join us because it's the May Day holiday in Germany.
Going down.
Okay, we'll use that one.
Hi, Kick Your Own Kayak. I don't know who Kick Your Own Kayak is.
Kick your own kayak. I thought.
It sounds like
Instead of paddle your own canoe.
I know, it sounds like a paddle your own canoe affiliate.
It's competition for paddle your own canoe.
So, guys,
Mayday. Going down.
On whom are you going down?
You had to say it, Nick. I knew you just had to say it.
Srivijaya.
Oh, I haven't heard that one for a while.
Shingles doesn't care.
Shingles doesn't care. It does
No,
not care.
Shingles does not care.
It
at
does
all.
not.
I was trying to remember the joke about the French fighter pilot. I'm trying to remember his name. Something like Jean-Claude or whatever.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And it was, yeah, the punchline was, when Jean-Claude goes down, he goes down in flames. Yeah. And,
boxes, yeah.
If you haven't heard
There's
the
a show.
joke, you might. I thought the punchline might make you laugh because if they might bring the joke to.
Well,
your mind.
I have a picture in my mind.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, good.
Yes, I believe we're going to do a show, IHOL Boxes. It may not be our most, what should I say, most edifying show.
Oh, it's going to be very edifying.
Okay.
I feel an eddy coming on.
It's not going to be the most show.
Unfortunately,
but
Captain Jeff is fighting allergies, and he's heavily medicated.
There you go. And
Yes.
I'm fighting alcoholism, so between the two of us,
And I'm fighting these
that's
two.
normal.
AJ is going to be on later to be, well, I guess he's somewhat normal. I don't know. Can we say he's normal? I don't know.
No, he's anything but.
he's got a very big nose, but I don't know if that's normal.
What?
What was that? Where did that come from?
Well, you look at this. You've got his picture staring at me. If you looked at this picture,
What picture?
the one
What are you
he's
talking
put
about?
in Getting to Know You,
Oh, has he?
the one of
Yeah,
him.
how are we?
and,
How are we
Yoda.
to know exactly what you were looking at and referring to?
Well, I'm looking at a picture of. Oh, it's AJ, not RJ. Okay, I get confused
Oh
between.
boy.
RJ's got a very big nose. I don't think AJ's got a particularly big nose.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Let's stop talking about.
Let's move on from that topic.
Can we check Unity, please?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, sure.
Let's do that.
Oh gosh. Well, that was fun.
Isn't that what Peter Pan said? He was never going
Yeah,
to
that's
Awesome.
right. Yeah.
No, I'm never going up. I'm never going to fly.
You can still sing.
That
though.
was, what was the
You're not
name?
that croaky.
Wait a
Wait a minute. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Just one more view so I can make sure we're getting the track on the DAW digital. Okay, looks good. Yep, see you. Okay.
Liz, I know you like finding out the plane tales and which show they were in, etc.
Yes, sir.
There was one between a mid-air between a Hughes Air West DC-9 and a Marine Corps Phantom
Okay, just one
near
moment.
LA. So that's your task now, is to find that plane tale.
Okay, just 1 minute. Let's see what I can do.
Sure.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's try here. And let's try finding Phantom.
F4. Fox 4 Phantom.
Next. No.
Just send your cash.
No, a lot of phantom references in your
Very
lane,
impressive.
in your volume, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
there would be, I guess.
No.
Wow.
Let's try Los Angeles.
Or more likely Hughes Air West, because there'll probably be only
HUGHES.
one with that
Air.
airline in it.
Is Air West one word? Or
Yes, it is.
Air West. No, not finding that.
Oh,
Let's try just Hughes.
DC9 Hughes, yes.
No. DC. No.
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep looking. I'll keep looking.
Let's see. How long ago was it?
Oh, very good. Don't know. Don't know, sorry.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Maybe it was. No, maybe it's not. Phantom. Okay.
It was a
Oh.
would
Is this the one? It's called. Oh, it doesn't have a title.
What? Ooh.
Oh, yes, it is. The Applegate Memorandum. Is that one?
Don't think
The DC-10 was McDonnell Douglas' first commercial airline. Blah blah blah. Four engine.
No, this is a DC9.
I found it,
Okay.
Oh, well done.
entitled "See and Avoid,"
Oh, that
June
would be it.
28th, 2024. And let's see.
What APG was it in?
I don't know
Oh, I'll
because
find it.
I'm looking at the.
I'll find it. Just hold on.
Okay.
See and avoid. Okay. I'll find it. Find. No. Next. Yeah, there it is. APG 606. See and avoid.
Oh, 606.
Uh-huh.
That's not that long ago.
A couple
Thank
years
you.
ago.
Thank you very
2024, I
much.
think. It says here, June 28th, 2024. Or in that area.
Okay.
Around then.
Around then.
Around there.
yonder.
Around them there parts.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So AJ is going to join us in progress.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see if Radio Roger can do a sound check.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
Sounds good.
WAPG.
Okay.
Kick Your Own Kayak is asking, do we have recorders on, Jeff?
I have recorders on. Yes. Thank you for asking.
Ernest is saying it was just Air West, Nick. Hughes hadn't bought them yet.
Oh.
Thank you, Ernest. Ernest knows a lot of good stuff.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. Tanya's saying the Joby electric air taxis have started test and demo flights here. I guess that's in New York, right, Tanya?
How many have crashed so far?
Yeah.
Thank you, iHall. Yeah, I'm okay. It's for me. Pollen allergies always kind of hit me around this time of year, and yeah,
It's a tough time of year for Jeff. The pollen is.
so tough.
Exactly.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I didn't get on top of it as quickly as I should have. And get some
I
antihistamines.
wonder what you're getting on top of, but okay.
Well, yeah, that's another item entirely.
Tanya's
different.
reporting no crashes that she's aware of.
Okay, good to hear, Tanya.
That's our
And-
chief New York correspondent there.
And Tanya, thank you for your help.
All right, you ready, Freddies, You two Freddies. Caramba.
Okay, I think so.
Okay.
Let me get the countdown thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, that thing here is right around here.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 706.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded the week of April 27, 2026.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, the New York Times reports that the firefighters in a truck hit by a landing flight
timing,
killing
AJ
two
just
pilots in
arrived.
March had a limited view of the approaching plane. And a flight taking off from Delhi performs a high-speed rejection because of an engine problem. Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 706 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins and 92.3 FM in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining us from his Garden View studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
a retired professional dog photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hello there, Jeff. Here we are again, happy as can be, for APG 706. Now, if you're worried about a flight, then perhaps 706 might not be the best one to get on, because two flight numbers 706 have both ended in tragedy for two different airlines, Proteus Airlines and Hughes Airways, but the same cause. The Hughes DC-9 was hit by a Marine Corps F-4 Phantom, a story I dealt with in a plain tale, and the only survivor from that was the F-4 Rio sitting in the back seat. His ejector seat worked. The pilot was trapped in the aircraft when his failed to fire. The other crash was between a Proteus Beechcraft 1900, which was hit by a Cessna 177, while it was diverting from its approach into Lorient, South Brittany Airport to circle the longest airliner to be built in France back then, and named the SS France. He was hit by this Cessna and everybody died, sadly. And if you're interested in listening to the Hughes Air West mid-air, now that was one that was quite significant in the history of aviation safety because of the changes that occurred after that. Look for the plane tale called See and Avoid, on APG 606, which was in June 2024. There you go.
Beautiful.
That's fabulous.
Well, at least one person lived through all those two crashes.
There's the silver lining. One survivor.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, oh, wait a minute. Did you just hear that voice?
Yeah.
No, there's nobody there.
From the Northwoods of the Atlanta suburbs, race car driver, self-taught chef, and a commercial multi-engine instrument-rated pilot with an interest in anything with enough horsepower to kill. These guys, they keep changing my narrative and they're trying to make me stumble, and they succeeded. So I don't know who did that, but Well done. Anyway, it's AJ Schramm. Alpha
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. A little under the weather, so hopefully my voice comes across.
God,
Maybe
you
it's
sickos over
extra
there.
built.
Was
It's
something in American air.
Is it the pollen for you as well?
I think it started off as pollen and worked its way into a sinus infection, which has worked its way into my chest. So yeah, it's been a rough couple of days.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I feel your pain, sir. And also joining us from our studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier, aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer curator. It's Liz Piper.
Here I am. It's too cold for pollen here, so I'm feeling just perky as heck. We're having snow flurries here. May 1st and snow flurries. How's that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
That's right. It's May 1st, which is, of course, May Day.
Mayday, mayday. Going down.
Going down. That's what's happening in this show right now.
It's downhill. Downhill. So, Jeff, we're going to do something different today. You can tell them about that while I go hide myself.
Oh, okay. Go hide yourself.
Bye.
Thank you. So we decided, since in the last several episodes we've been kind of not doing a lot of feedback, and we kind of feel bad about that because you guys, give us the feedback and you're going, well, how come they're not playing my feedback? Well, it's because we keep running out of time doing too many news stories and stuff. So we decided we'd flip this thing out, make it a pineapple upside down cake, and start off the show with feedback instead of news. And so that way we're going to be able to knock it. And then Liz will complain about not having enough feedback. So it's a dual-edged sword, I think. But okay, here we go. Let's do some feedback.
Captain, incoming message.
And for those that listen to our show and only make it through like one or two news stories and then they just give up, well, this is going to be a treat for you. We actually have a feedback segment on our program. Okay, so let's start off with this. Brian from Katy, Texas, regarding the LaGuardia plane crash. He says, while listening to the latest episode, probably wasn't the latest episode, a question came to mind. I've been listening to APG since it was Catholic Pilot. That means he's been listening a very, very long time. We're not questioning his sanity, Liz. Oh, he is. He is questioning his own sanity. Yeah, he probably is. Yes.
I thought we questioned the sanity of anybody who listened to the show.
That's true.
Especially for that long.
September of 2009 through May, I think, of 2011. It was Catholic Pilot, but now it's Airline Pilot Guy. Anyway, back to Brian's feedback. I've heard many times that when a go-around is initiated, the plane continues to drop for a period of time, and the wheels might even touch down before the plane starts to climb away. That's true. Was the plane too low for a successful go-around and could have hit the fire truck anyway, potentially causing more catastrophic damage due to the higher speeds involved? That's a good question, Brian, from Katy, Texas. Who wants to address that? Yes, please discuss.
Oh, I'm happy to take that. The answer is no, I don't think he would have had a problem going around. Normally, you don't go around from the moment that you select the reverses. At that point, you just give up any idea of getting airborne again. But up to that point, which happens only a few seconds after you've touched down on the runway, it's relatively easy to go around, and it will happen relatively quickly. In fact, if you've actually put your main wheels on the runway, because for the very thing you mentioned, it does, particularly bigger aircraft, there's got a lot of inertia going down, and it takes some time for the change in attitude and the increase in thrust to arrest your descent. So we usually calculate on a minimum of, say, 50 feet on a big airplane. So you're going to go down for 50 feet before you start leveling off and then eventually climbing away again. You've only got to get the aircraft 30 feet into the air and you've missed the truck completely. So the answer is no, I think there would have been room for them to go around as long as they hadn't tried to stop the aircraft or once they were on the runway. Because, you can go around, and I don't think it'd take more than 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet to get the
I think it was
average
just under
airliner.
1,500 feet from the time they touched down to the time they
could
hit
have lifted the
truck.
gear. That one I found.
Yeah, gear up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there would have been a good chance if they'd still been, certainly if they'd still been able or in the flare, I think they would have got away with it without a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and that airplane, I don't know what the thrust weight situation is for a CRJ 900, but I would imagine, it's not like a heavy jet. So I would imagine they would have pretty good reaction time and performance to nimble. It's a nimble jet. But it's all speculation. It depends on when the pilots actually, finally come to the conclusion, oh, we're going to hit something. And, how long is that span of time in their brain before they actually start making things happen and go around. But if they were still kind of in the flare mode, I can definitely see that they would have cleared. Anyway, we're going to talk. Actually, we have an article in our news segment that will kind of address not necessarily the go around, but it does give the perspective of what the pilots likely saw prior to the impact in the fire truck. So, all right.
I'll save my comments for that news story.
All righty then. Let's thank you, Brian, for sending the feedback. Sorry it took so long to do it, but we're getting it. Oh, his came in recently. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Thank you. This piece of feedback is from Andy Harris regarding retirements. Hi, crew. Hope you're all doing well. Wanted to reach out specifically to Captain Jeff and Captain Nick, since you're both at different stages in your airline retirements. And I have a couple of questions that I think many listeners might be curious about. First, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how much you feel your piloting skills may have deteriorated since stepping away from the cockpit. And AJ, we're not gonna ask you about this.
No comment.
If you were asked to do a check ride or hop into a simulator tomorrow, how confident do you think you'd be? Would it feel like riding a bike, or do you think there would be some rust to shake off? Well, first of all, they would have had to get security to grab me off the ground and get my arms, pried away from whatever I'm holding on to keep myself from going into the simulator. Yeah. They'd have some people in white coats with a van waiting outside for me to take me away. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue with his questioning. Okay, well, I'm gonna read both questions and then we'll answer them in sequence. Second, do you miss flying? After spending so many years at the controls, is there a sense of longing for the skies, or are you content with where you are now? I'd love to hear if there are moments when you wish you could jump back in. Thank you so much for the show and the gift you bring us each week. It's always a pleasure to listen and learn from your journeys and insights. Cheers. Alpha Hotel, Andy Harris. Okay, so I'll just quickly say, can I get back into a simulator and just riding a bike, everything? No, I think I'm just guessing, but I don't think so. I think, wow, what is this thing for? Where am I supposed to sit? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit. It would be interesting to see, but I do have a little experience of getting behind the controls of an airplane, but not the same kind of an airplane that I spent my career flying. But the trip down with Alpha Juliet to Sun and Fun a couple of weeks ago, on the way back, I got to sit in the right seat and do a little bit of flying, and
add that into the way you answer these questions, because I'd like to hear that from Nick as well. Is add in not just going back to your job flying, but do you miss just flying in general, any general aviation flying even? When you go, especially when you go to that second question.
Okay. But let's ask Nick about the first question about the how confident you would be in the simulator, and do you think it would be like?
Yeah, good questions, Andy. I used to worry after 2 weeks leave that I would have forgotten
Exactly
how to do everything, and I would take significantly longer to go through everything because I would be sort of double checking myself all the time, and there'd be occasional pauses when I tried, oh, hang on a minute, what did we do at this moment? Yeah, I mean, once you get back into the swing of it, you speed back up very quickly. But after 5 years, good Lord, no. I wouldn't want to, for a start, for exactly the same reason as Jeff. I had a pathological loathing of going in the simulator. Having said that, we did a simulator together, or at least, I don't know if you were watching, Jeff, 737 Sim. Do you remember in London was with the PT UK boys?
Yeah.
I climbed into that and I thought, well, this is pretty easy. And when I was doing my 747 skills test prior to starting working for Virgin Atlantic, you had to pass this skills test. I'd never flown a 747 before. But it's just like an airplane. And it wasn't anything like the previous airplanes I flew, but all the basics it all still does the same sort of stuff. And I felt very comfortable flying that around, the simulator around. So I think, the basic skills are there, but the minutiae, what's the word I'm looking at? The minutiae. Thank you for my little lesson in pronunciation of this. The minutiae of setting the airplane up correctly, following all the correct procedures, all the radio calls required, all the little things you've got to do and remember to do, that has completely gone. I wouldn't have a clue how to do that. So yeah, afraid so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I could look at the cockpit and go, that's probably not in the right place, but I probably wouldn't know how to fix it.
And it's a lot of it, is ritual and routine. I mean, you're doing things over and over and over again. It just becomes second nature. But then when you get out of that, that's when you realize, oh, I haven't done this in a while, and I need to really focus. I Haul Boxes in our live audience says exactly. After 2 weeks, I don't just worry. I know I'm about to make some lapses. Go ahead, AJ.
I was just going to say, I'd be willing to bet that the physical aspects of it, the reaching over for that switch or turning that dial, I bet that would come back really quickly for you guys. I think the rote memorization part would be the biggest struggle with boldface items on the checklist or something like that, that the stuff that you have to be able to just recite back. I think that would be the biggest thing that would struggle. But I bet the physical aspects of it, even physically flying the airplane, landing, flaring, all of those things that you've built that into muscle memory, that stuff, I think, I'm not any sort of a doctor, but I think that stuff lasts and stays with you longer.
No, I think you're right. I'd be reaching across, but I wouldn't be quite sure what I was going to move.
I know I'm going to move something. I don't know what it is.
I'm going to touch something and move it.
I'm going to have to do something.
I'm not. No, sir. No, sir. Take your hand off that, please. That's appropriate at this time.
Your new FOs, that's my knee. Whoa.
You talk about rote memorization, AJ, and I think back to my pilot training days in the T-37 in Columbus, Mississippi in 1982. Yeah, 1982. The spin recovery boldface, 43 words. Throttle's idle, rudder and ailerons neutral, stick abruptly full aft and hold. And then I can go on, but you would be bored. But I still have that.
I can go back further than that. I can go back to the downwind checks in a Chipmunk, which I did in my primary flying grading course. Yeah, in 1974. The downwind checks were, my friend Fred has hairy balls.
Well, which is really,
which stood
I could
for
see why you would remember that.
Mixture fuel flaps, harness, hood, brakes. That's what it stands for.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Very nice. Yeah. I've heard of flying squirrels, but never heard of flying chipmunks. That's weird.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah, don't forget question number 2.
Okay. Honestly, I enjoy it, but it's not like I sit there and go, man, I really wish I could go out there and get in an airplane and fly it. And I know it's very disappointing to a lot of people that listen to the show to hear me say that, but well, thank you, Liz. She's saying I'm such a disappointment to so many people. But I know that Captain Nick and I had many, many years flying in the air forces of the world and also in the airlines. And, I've got nearly almost 24,000 hours logged in my logbook. And but saying that though, I know that people are just like me who have had the same experience, like they still wanted to do it and they still like yearn for it and long for it and that kind of thing. Colonel Jeff, yeah, that's a good example of it. And I sometimes I wish that I were like that, but I just had such a great time and a great career, but flying down with Alpha Juliet and Ben and down and I'm sorry, what?
Stephen,
thank you. I drew a blank.
So that guy you lived with for a week. It's fine. Totally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we had a very close relationship. So, flying down to Sun and Fun in the Cessna 206.
It took you a week to fly down? Good Lord.
It's a very slow airplane.
Well, it's not the fastest airplane. With Alpha Juliet and Ben Singer and Stephen, we had a great time. And it was like, oh, yeah. Honestly, for me, though, it wasn't like, oh, I really missed this because a very, very, very small amount of my experience flying airplanes have been in general aviation, single engine propeller airplanes. I mean, just kind of like an asterisk in my logbook, like, oh yeah, he did that. But it's
almost like
fun.
A new experience to some extent.
Really, it really is. It really is. And, so much so that if I went to an airport and and there's a possibility that I may want to get back into it and maybe become or get my certification for a certified flight instructor and instruct people and that kind of thing. That's a possibility. I never really thought I'd want to do that, but after the experience flying with AJ makes me think about it a little bit more than I was before. So Captain Nick, how about you?
Well, I got a lift with Pilot Pip and Captain Al in their light aircraft. So we went off to Duxford, I think, from with Captain Al from, and also I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I've flown with Pip as well, and they let me pole it around for a bit, which was great. And Pip even, I think, on his. I'm trying to remember his machine.
After your comments about Fred, I don't know if polling it around is a good phrase for you to use.
Fair enough. He let me land it at this tiny little grass airfield. So no approach aids, no visual aids, no nothing except a piece of mown grass on a field. And I made a reasonable fist of that. It wasn't a huge grass runway either, but I think you're right, Jeff. There are sort of basics to do with flying that are all ingrained. He had to tell me what the speeds would be and all that kind of stuff, and but he didn't get too nervous, so I was. Oh yeah, I had a little flight with Captain Stefan as well. He took me up in one of his club aircraft. It was very nice of him. And I was doing steep turns in that, and we've managed to hit our wake turbulence. You do a 360. If you hit your wake after a 360, you've done a pretty good circle in the sky.
Always a good feeling.
Exactly. So, there was some nice.
Metro Doc in our live audience says, trade the RVS for a Cessna.
Oh,
yeah. The problem with that, though, is there's not a lot of room inside that Cessna and to sleep and cook some meals and, shower.
Okay, trade the RVS for a PC-12.
Well, okay, that might be that might be a consideration.
And
Although
park it,
we're
park
really
it
going to
at
have
a
to get
nice-
more coffee fund donations for that.
Yeah. Park it at a nice airfield where they've got a house to buy on the edge of the airfield. Then you'll be fine.
Huh? Well, Tanya, I got a quick ride in Al's aircraft at Beckles last year. I do love me a T-tail. Okay.
Excellent.
Not sure exactly.
I
what
didn't
she
know
means by
Al
that,
had a
but,
T-tail.
I was going to ask a question about whether the aircraft took off or not, but anyway.
And Al really likes him some T-tail too. Oh, wait a minute. Now that I'm thinking about it, highly inappropriate of me to say that. Sorry.
Yeah. Actually, it was Pip going to Duxford. It was not Al. Pip and Adam and his lovely wife came with us on board as well. Yeah, we met Al there. That's right.
All right. Moving on. Let me get back to. Yeah, thank you very much for the questions, Andy. It spurred some interesting discussion. Hang on. Before we start this one, I need to get something ready in Keynote. I don't even think I started up the Keynote, did I? No. Let me get
Ooh, how about the recorders?
Oh, I have that done. Yeah, that I actually did do, but I haven't set up the Keynote. And let me find the one that, yeah. Okay, and go over here and hit that plus sign. Share screen, window, Jeff's media, share. And Liz, if you'll put that in the main view, and you can leave our faces up here if you'd like. Okay. Now going. This is from Deanna Tickle. It's me again, she says. I hope you are all well. My 15-and-a-half-year-old nephew has decided he wants to be a pilot. This past weekend, he took a discovery flight with his older sister tagging along as a backseat passenger. This was his first time in an airplane. He is a very private person and not prone to extraneous chatter, so he hasn't told us much about the experience, but he engaged with the instructor during the pre-flight checklist and appeared focused during the flight. I guess you could show your stills, Liz, and then I can do the video afterwards. Yeah, because it's just a very, very short video clip. Anyway, he has told his parents about a few things that the instructor said to him. With his permission, I'm sharing photos with his face hidden, and I also have permission to tell listeners how proud I am of him. Yes, you are allowed to do that. Any advice for a budding aviator is welcome. Some of my colleagues have suggested the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program. I have a short video, see below, which we're going to watch here in a minute, that doesn't want to attach. Oh, okay, well, she sent it separately to me and we got it all straightened out. She said she had to trim it down because it was 60 seconds of me looking through the phone camera saying, "Where is it? Can you see it on your phone?" I can't see it because of the sun. I have no idea if I'm getting it, followed by 5 seconds of the aircraft taking off. I can identify with that experience, Deanna. Okay, so if you're ready for me to play, okay, the video. Oh, but that's not it. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. And as she said, it's only like maybe 5 seconds. Okay, we need to see it again, don't we?
Sound effects are good.
Oh, that's a different piece of feedback. Yeah. Well, that's real sound.
He moved on to 747s very quickly.
He moved forward very rapidly. That's incredible.
Quick progress.
Chapter 2.
Excellent.
Yeah, look at that. He's kind of embarrassed. His face is red.
Did we mention he's in witness protection? Is that?
I think so. Yeah, and there's the one of the wings, and there he is behind the controls. Looks like he's getting into it. That's nice. And
good job.
This was, at the airport. Yeah.
Cool. I'm curious as to how Deanna got pictures from the inside of the airplane and the outside of the airplane at the same time. That is an impressive feat.
Cool.
Oh, that is a good question because she said she was in the back seat,
and yet she took a video of the takeoff.
Oh, his sister was in the backseat. Okay. Gotcha. I made the same. Sorry.
I'm paying attention, Liz.
I have an
What about the other
excuse.
two?
No, you weren't. You didn't know that, Nick. Don't try to get out of it now.
Yeah, he's lying. He is lying. All right. Thank you, Deanna.
Yeah, the question here was about if we have any advice for a budding young aviator, and she mentioned the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program. Yeah, as Liz says, stay away from this podcast, number one. Number two, Civil Air Cadet Program, Civil Air Patrol is a great way to get exposed to all things aviation, not just in the airplane itself, but also how they can be used as tools. So doing search and rescue operations, or all kinds of different aspects. We do all sorts of missions with the airplanes, and the cadets can operate on ground teams and talking back, giving direction and location to the aircraft, as well as being in the aircraft and being observers from the air. So they get to kind of see all sides of how airplanes can be used, which is really, really neat. So yeah, definitely would recommend that. I will say CAP cadet program is not necessarily for every kid. It is somewhat on the military regimented side of things. So if there's some kids that fits perfectly well into their personality, and there's some kids that just it doesn't work, and that's okay. So don't get hung up on it if it's not his jam. But yeah, definitely look into. There's a ton of scholarships and programs out there. I'll see if I can dig up. There's a list that is put out. There's a couple of people that have curated this list of all of these scholarship programs available for every age students, that you can get all kinds of training money and programs and experiences and all that kind of stuff. So definitely would look into that. But the number one thing, regardless of whether you do CAP or one of these scholarships or whatever, go find an airport that has gliders and go fly gliders. He can solo gliders. I think we said he was 15. He could already be soloed in a glider and preparing for his private pilot check ride. So that is highly, highly recommended. And that makes you a better pilot, whether you're flying a 172 or a 747, all the way up the chain. So number one thing, go fly gliders.
Well, it doesn't work on everybody.
It's not 100%, Liz. Yeah, it's like 87%.
And I love to, not quote this, but to bring this up when we talk about gliders and making you a good pilot. The three that I can think of right off the top of my head, airliner incidents that had like flameouts, complete loss of engine power, or almost full loss of engine power, were the Gimli glider, the 767, and what is it called? Air Transat, thank you, was a A330, I believe, in the Azores, and Sully Sullenberger flying the Airbus 320 and landing in the Hudson River. All three of those pilots, in either almost completely powerless or just barely powered aircraft, were all three glider pilots. They had glider experience, and I think that says something. Let's see. Davis in our live audience says, I Fly to Lunch now has an aviation scholarship portal complete with links to the applications for 10 organizations in one place, and it's free to access. Thank you, Davis. I wonder if anybody's had a chance to take a look at his I Fly to Lunch and check it out.
I've had a chance to kind of skim through it. I haven't gotten an opportunity to delve deeply with work and everything else. I actually haven't been doing much, a ton of flying. So, but I've been emailing back and forth with Davis a little bit, and I've promised him that I'll try to get some time to get a little deeper into it and give him some feedback.
I'm sure he appreciates the feedback. Yeah. Chuck Kelleher says, today is a day that ends in Y, so AJ is talking about gliders.
Shocking.
And I heard your sound effect, your ringer there.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to silence my phone. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Deanna. And hopefully that will be some... And I also like to say, the importance of programs like the Civil Air Patrol or the Air Cadet program that Captain Nick was involved with when he was a younger man, are all good things. In fact, so much so that I had a little short stint in the Civil Air Patrol, not very long when I was in Mobile, but Alpha Juliet, RJ, Captain Nick, almost probably all of our hosts on the Airline Pilot Guy show have some experience. Yeah, Armando, also big in Civil Air Patrol as well. Yeah, so that just shows you that that's definitely a great place to look. Yeah. All right. Next, all right, that means I gotta go like this.
We lost Nick? No, he's right there. I see him.
Oh,
I'm back.
This next piece of feedback is from Murillo Barbosa, landing on the wrong airport. Yeah, he's just over in Mayretta, probably somewhere south of the Big Chicken, I'm guessing. I don't
Probably
know.
closer to me than you.
Yeah, probably is. Hello, crew. Definitely. Hello, crew. How are you? Murillo Barbosa, here from Brazil, but living in Marietta, Georgia. First, I want to say I almost went to Sun and Fun, but then I found out that you were going, Jeff, and decided, nah, not going to do that. No, that's not what he
A
said.
wise choice, Murillo.
First, I want to say I almost went to Sun and Fun, but last-minute work made me cancel the trip. I was looking forward to see Jeff again after, I don't know, 8-9 years, and we were in the same area. I think we have to change that. Yeah, you're right, Muriel. I think the last time we saw each other was at the, what do they call it, 57th Fighter Group at PDK. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta make a date. Anyway, I was thinking about many incidents that airplanes landed on different airports that are really close to their destinations, or even on different runways at the same airport. I used to fly a Hawker 800, and so what he's saying is they did that, but they didn't mean to do that. Okay, I used to fly a Hawker 800, and even that dinosaur would have a map showing where to go. Jeff also has some experience with dinosaurs, but they also had maps and the birds to follow. Old Pilot had all the screens on his Airbuses with even more information. Again, my question, how, with the map not matching what you're doing, and the airplane telling you you're not flying the right way, how can this kind of thing happen? Thanks a lot for all you do. Love you guys. Mario. We love you too, Mario. Thank you. Who wants to go with this one first?
In the GA world, it can happen, especially if you have things that are kind of in the same general vicinity. Flying down to Griffin, there's a section of the highway that kind of comes out of the trees, and it goes very straight, and then it goes back into the trees. So all you see is this one straight section, and it's a couple miles to the east of the airport and a couple miles closer. And so if you're kind of in a relatively low visibility kind of day, and you look out you pop out of the clouds or something like that, or you're looking out visually and you see it, you're like, oh, I got the airport. And you start aiming for that. And as you get closer and closer, you can get pretty close before you go, that's not a runway, wait a second. And then you look up and you see it a little farther ahead. So a little bit of confirmation bias, I think, can happen. And maybe that's not the right concept, but I think that's one of them. And then another experience I had with that was kind of sort of the opposite experience, is flying into Huntsville. Huntsville has some tremendously long runways. We're talking 13,000 feet. It was I think a backup landing location for the shuttle, among other things, but some really long parallel runways. And I was flying into the big airport, and I'm 15 something miles away. And they said, Huntsville's off your right, 12 miles, 15 miles, whatever it was. And I looked over there and I said, well, I see an airport, but that can't possibly be the airport because it's way too close. Just because it was so massive, it was kind of a trick of the eyes that made it look like it was only about 3 or 4 miles away and a normal sized airport, as opposed to the massive airport I was, So when you stop trusting your instruments is, I think, a way that can happen. You can kind of just try to go on instinct.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And if everybody used all their aids that they have to identify an airport, no one would probably ever land at the wrong airport. But the trouble is that when people are a little bit confident, they think they know where they are, they can see the world outside, and they're kind of making the world fit their mental map of where they are. So they're completely comfortable. They believe they're completely comfortable with their position and the airfield they're approaching. they stop using all these additional aids because they go, well, I know where I am. This is no problem at all. I can see the airfield. I can see the runway. And the fact that the ILS isn't coming up and the VOR needle is 90 degrees pointing the other way just doesn't.
Details.
Yeah,
There's
completely
obviously
ignore.
something wrong with that instrument.
Obviously.
Exactly. So yeah, that's very easy to do, and that has happened numerous occasions. And often, you're right, AJ, with airfields that are in the vicinity of somewhere that they are going to land at, they convince themselves that what they can see is actually the airport they want to land at, and it's not. It's the one down the road.
It's very hard to distrust your eyes and trust an instrument.
Absolutely. Right. In fact, the information we gather with our eyes can overcome all our other senses, to the point that where we are well aware that visual illusions can cause us to crash an aircraft, even though there are lots of other cues to indicate, because the visual senses are so strong.
Picture is worth 1,000 words.
Exactly. You
5,000
ignore everything else. You misprogram your navigation equipment, and that's happened more than once, so that when you get to the end of the green line, you're so used to following the nav gear, you get to the end of the green line and there's an airfield, but you forgot that today you're not going to Hamburg, you're going to Frankfurt or something.
Missed it by that
and
much.
You pile in there and land, and you go, this doesn't look like this doesn't look like
what do you mean we don't have a gate?
Exactly.
By the way, nice landing.
Yeah.
That Ron Airport.
Yep. And the tower's going, well, I can't even see you. And you go,
yeah, where are you? I don't see you.
Well, that was the one
right there.
That happened just the mistaken radio. That was a great
Colonel
one. JFK.
Yeah, that's right.
That was just a month ago or so. They called up they were flying into Teterboro, I think, and they were calling JFK, and they're like, "Yep, we're on the final for runway 4," and the tower's like, "What?
I can't see
runway 4? We don't. Where are you? What airport are you supposed to be going to?" They're like, "Oh, sorry,
never mind. We'll see you."
Yeah,
just kidding. Bye.
Yeah.
Also, the Atlas 747 Dream Lifter at Colonel Jabara, they were supposed to be going to the Air Force Base 9 miles further down the road, but the captain fixated on that Colonel Jabara, I think that's the way you pronounce that, airport, a private airport, or a small, not a large runway. And
not one built for the Dream Lifter.
Yeah, a couple of pieces of experience or anecdotal experiences for me. One was when Hartsfield ended up building the south runway, 1028. Man, I tell you what, and Captain Nick alluded to this, and you did too as well, AJ, that when you see something and it's all nice, bright and shiny. I mean, this brand new runway, brand new concrete that nobody has yet landed on. And it's like just out there, just south of all the other, but that's what you see. Your eye looks at that and go, okay, that's the runway. And then you realize as you start making your way and getting a little closer, you go, oh, okay, no, the runways we're supposed to land on are a little bit over here to the right. So it got a lot of people, at first when you're out there at 15 miles. It's just so nice to look at, and you just go right for it, like the light and the bugs. Oh, this is a bright light. Boom.
Yes.
The other thing, I was flying into Mobile, Alabama, Bates Field at the time, or Mobile Regional, or whatever the heck they're calling it now. And I worked there at an FBO, Mobile Air Center, and I lived in Mobile for many years in the 1970s. And so I was very familiar with where the airport was. The captain I was flying with on this trip in the 727 didn't have a lot of experience flying into Mobile, and we're coming in from Atlanta, so we're coming in from the Northeast. And I'm looking out the window, and I see it. I'm sitting on the right side. I got a great view of Mobile Regional Airport. And all of a sudden he's going, yeah, I got it. And then he starts turning the airplane to the left. I'm going, what are you going? What are you doing? Like, this is the airport's over here. And he goes, no, I got it over here. And what do they call that? Brookley, I think, is it's where the Airbus has their Airbus assembly building in the United States, in Mobile, Alabama. And it's got some nice long runways too, but it's like right on the bay. And he wasn't familiar at all with it, but he was certain that that's where we're supposed to be landing, even though all of our maps and, moving map displays and everything else were showing us something different. And I said, no, sir, trust me, over here, over to the right. And he thanked me profusely after we landed. Thank you for talking me out of landing at Brickley Field. And I said, you're welcome. Yeah.
And as soon as he walked into the chief pilot's office, he's like, yeah, that FO tried to send me to the wrong airport. It was the craziest thing, but I insisted that we had to.
We did not talk to any chief pilots. Nobody knew about it until right now. Okay. All right. Number 8. Okay. Let me go back over here. This is some feedback from Steve Simpson. APG 701 FedEx Alaska, close call. Good afternoon, Captain Jeff et al. Listening to episode 701 and the Alaska go-around. In the UK, I often hear the preceding FedEx being told to expedite vacating the runway, alternatively being told to keep their speed up. I didn't hear that on the audio playback. Is that not a call in the US? Kind regards, Steve. So I guess we'll go with Alpha Juliet. He's kind of our air traffic control representative. It's one of his jobs is teaching air traffic control.
It is a call. You can advise some speed. There are some very strict rules about when you can and can't change speeds, depending on the type of rules they're flying under, if they're flying IFR or VFR and so on. A big thing that's kind of frowned upon is asking a heavy to do anything outside of what they want to do. You generally don't ask them to expedite their taxi or do an immediate takeoff or anything like that, for a multitude of reasons. So that could have been a reason, maybe. And there's a couple of rules about that, but it's also a lot more just kind of tradition. Not getting tradition is not really the right word, but typical practice.
I didn't fly. I mean, just a small part of my career involved flying heavy jets, the L-1011 and that kind of thing. And you're right. I don't remember. I mean, it's been a long time. It was in the 90s, but I don't remember a lot like expedite your taxiing or, because you have traffic behind you on short final, that kind of thing. But I did hear it a lot because most of my career was spent flying narrow bodies. So we were a little bit more nimble and,
get your little airplane out of the way.
Yes, and we heard that so many times. Is like, please, traffic on short final, please expedite, and exit on the high speed, blah blah blah, and so that's something you hear all the time here in the U.S. So, but good point. Now, Captain Nick flew mostly or all his airline career in heavy jets. So, what's your experience, Captain Nick?
Well, I got told to, be ready for immediate departure quite often. That was a regular call, so that you just prepped and got your procedures done ready rather than they want you to taxi fast. And sometimes they will tell you which exit they want you to use, and that's kind of the next best thing to expedite because they're quite often going to give you a taxiway that's a bit before the one that you would normally take, and you've got to brake hard and heat the brakes up and risk overrunning the turn off point because so we didn't like it, but it used to happen, and we would generally speaking err on the side of caution and politely decline usually.
All right. Very good. I'm hoping. Oh, hang on. I almost did a very, very bad thing.
You didn't press that button, did you?
So I have my keyboard here, and I'm using the shortcut for like alternating between windows. Command tab or Control tab for you Windows users, and right next to the tab is a Q button. So if I do Command Q, it quits my Chrome browser. And I've thought about this so many times. Every time I hit the command tab, I'm thinking, don't accidentally hit the one right next to it, Jeff, because it's going to be a problem. I almost did it. Anyway, So
well done.
Yeah. All right. Number 10. All right. We have some more feedback from Mazus Karim, Dr. Karim. Go arounds. We're sticking to that theme. Thank you.
Well,
Hello,
you can
all.
always go around.
You can always go around. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. You can always go around, and you can always play the go around sound effect. On the ground, you can always go around. Ba-dum-bum. Yeah. All right. Quick question for you. Last week, I experienced my first go-around on a commercial flight. Really? Woo-hoo! The first time? I think Mazus flies a lot. Wow. Okay. A short flight from Heathrow to Ireland. It was a fairly windy day, and as soon as the wheels touched the runway, the pilot applied full power, and up we went. Once back in the circuit, there was an announcement from the cabin crew along the lines of, "Ladies and gentlemen, the pilot had to abort the approach for safety reasons. He will be making another attempt shortly." Once round the circuit, we touched down uneventfully. We didn't hear anything from the flight deck. That's a missed opportunity, I'd say. This was obviously a complete non-incident, but overhearing conversations between other passengers, many of them were very worried and thought something terrible had or could have happened. I know that the flight deck would have been busy, but I wonder if it would have put passengers' minds at rest and probably also maintaining their faith in the airline if either they or the cabin crew had said a little more. Do airlines generally have a policy on passenger communications? Best wishes to all, and talons, Douglas. Mazus. I think to answer that last question there, I think that individual airlines do have policies when it comes to making certain public announcements or passenger announcements. But even if my airline that I flew for 35 years had that, I probably would still get on and try to alleviate any concerns that people might have at an appropriate point. Obviously not right in the middle of the go-around. That's, you have to focus on performing that maneuver and not overshooting altitudes and not hitting, aviate, navigate, communicate. Thank you, Liz. But communicate even though it's third in that lineup, it's still a very, very important thing to do, especially when people have never experienced this kind of thing in an airplane, and it can be kind of unsettling. And I think just to kind of get on with a nice calm voice and say, sorry about that, but there was another preceding airplane that was still on the runway and I always made a point to say at the very end of the runway, like a couple of miles down the runway. We were not anywhere close to hitting another airplane. It's just that we're not legally allowed to use that same concrete if they're still using it. So we apologize for any inconvenience, but we're just going to go and do another lap around the pattern and come in and get you to the gate as quickly as we can, and just to kind of calm people's nerves. What do you think, Captain Nick?
Yeah, I used to regularly say that, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but my first officer made a complete hash of that.
And I'm not.
That's what I was hoping for.
And I'm going to insist he has another go.
Oh, no. That really alleviates their concerns for sure.
Exactly.
We're going to give him one more shot at this.
and if we have any fuel remaining, then maybe we'll give him a third shot. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, Mazus is absolutely right. There's an awful lot going on, and some airports, they will have you changing frequencies multiple times as you go around the pattern, and you're trying to reprogram. Sometimes the map, the flight management system will have eaten all the waypoints if you, depending on when you did the go around, and you've got to reprogram that. And quite honestly, it can be mind-bendingly busy on the flight deck. So yeah, the PA comes last, and sometimes you've just got time to, if you can, and don't forget that if the cabin crew are making a PA, the 10 seconds you have might already be occupied. You see, oh damn, the cabin crew on the PA. I'll have to do it in a moment, and of course you never quite get round to it because once you finish the downwind section of your quick pattern, you're back into a full approach brief and away you go. So yeah, it is tough. However, we were always very cognizant of the fact that people needed to know what's going on. And just from passenger satisfaction, because this could be the end of a fantastic flight for them. You know, they've had the most wonderful food, they've enjoyed themselves, the flight's been as smooth as anything. But those last 5 minutes, which include a go-around, might spoil everything that's happened before, has preceded this. And the passenger satisfaction is going to be full of that and nothing that happened for the previous 10 hours. So, yeah, it's very important to keep that final part of the flight as smooth and nice as possible and keep everyone informed. Even if you're quite right, Jeff, even it's a quick 5 seconds just to say, this has happened. We nearly hit a dog on the runway. I'm terribly sorry. In fact, I think we might have. I think they're just clearing him up now. So,
Kick Your Own Kayak says, very annoying when the GPS audio states, "You have arrived," when doing a go-around. Where have I arrived? Is this heaven?
You have arrived. You have unarrived.
Yeah.
Love it.
I've also, although I don't think it's quite as optimal, but alternatively, I've heard people after the airplane has landed the second time, you're at the gate, and you're always waiting for the gate driver, the jetway driver to get to the airplane. Takes
to crash into the airplane. Connect to the airplane.
Crash into the airplane. But there's that time, when the seatbelt light goes off, everybody's standing up, getting their overhead. And I've heard as a passenger, the captain getting up. Just wanted to let you know, we do apologize for that extra circuit that we had to do, and explain why. And it was nothing unsafe, or you were never in jeopardy, or whatever. Better late than never. But I think the sooner the better. If you can squeeze that in there.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Quite right, too.
One more feedback. Yes, ma'am. All right. We're going to number 11. Okay. Tim Van Ram.
I thought we'd stopped his feedback.
Yeah, I thought.
Didn't we block his emails? Does he have a new email address?
We have a filter in place, but apparently I need to check on it. Because somehow we got through. All right. It says, hello, everyone in APG land. Yeah, I looked at that and it says APGLand. I'm like, ooh, what kind of gland is that?
Immediately.
That's a worry.
It's a bad gland.
An AP gland, yes.
Yeah, I know.
That could be another show title.
Yeah, emailing.
I'd like to squeeze your AP gland.
Oh, wow. Yes, please do.
It's expressive.
Oh, my.
Express your own. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, my gosh. This is going to be a mess, literally. Okay, emailing to give quick update on my student pilot progress. I still have my training pants on. No mishaps yet. Last month, I had to get 10 night landings completed at a towered airport. Would have been easier if I'd gotten this done before daylight saving time, as the civil twilight got an hour later, and the tower at KSTS, my home airport, closes at 2000 hours, 8 o'clock at night, p.m. Oh, by the way, thank you, Tim, for saying that right. Daylight saving time. Oh, that's Tim Van Ram. Kick Your Own Kayak. Okay,
see, he's even changed his screen name to try to get in out of the filter.
Wow.
See, that's a whole thing.
That's how
he's getting through. That's a neat trick, that one.
Yeah. All right. Civil twilight was only going to get later and later, so I was able to squeeze 5 landings in.
Oh, you should try uncivil twilight.
That's very uncivil.
The controllers are a little ruder, but it's not too bad.
Not as busy. Between 1928 hours and tower closing in one night, and 2 days later, I got 7 landings completed in 30 minutes. Wow, that's efficient.
So for the record, Tim, when the airplane bounces, that doesn't count as multiple landings. Just want to make sure that's clear. 7 landings in 30 minutes that's highly efficient, is what we'll call it.
Yes, very efficient. Then he continues, today, Thursday, April 30th, which was like yesterday, I completed my first solo cross-country from Santa Rosa to Oscar 08, Calusa, and on to Oscar 88, which is Rio Vista, and a return to Kilo Sierra, Tango Sierra. Rio Vista Airport is pretty close to Travis Air Force Base, and it is a thrill to see a C-130 flying nearby. Cross country went well, with only a hiccup of not having the correct endorsement signed off in the logbook before I could leave. That kept me on the ground for a bit. Weather was good. I was able to find the airports. That's always a good thing, to find the airports. The right airports, at least, right?
See, back in the day when I soloed and I did my cross country, there was no ADSB tracking. So when I had to do my long cross country and you go to 2 airports certain distance apart, all my instructor knew was that I was gone for X number of time. That's it. Didn't matter really where I went, technically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I landed.
You could have gone out there just
great little airport.
out of sight and just flew in circles.
Go to the next airport over. Go grab a couple of beers. Head back.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Good advice.
Oh, no, I've heard a very similar story to that. Night flying used to be a dreaded thing in flying training, and there was a student who was so nervous, he taxied across the airfield and parked up, turned all his lights off, and just made the RT calls as he went round his imaginary NavX.
Perfect.
Reporting, and then taxied back. The only thing that he forgot was that he wouldn't have used all his gas. And when they came to fill the airplane, they went, hang on a minute.
Your radio signal was awfully strong for that whole flight.
Yeah. Dang, you hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Thanks, Liz. Okay, so to finish off, so to speak, kick your own kayaks email. My plane goes into annual this month. With any luck, it won't be out of service too long. The check ride is not far off now. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for following my progress. Best regards, Tim Van Ram. Good to hear, Tim. Thank you for updating us on your progress.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so that's okay. It's time to get to know us. What the heck? Let's do this button right here. Getting to know us is that time of the show where we kind of get all caught up with what's happening with the guests of the show or the hosts of the show, I guess I should say. Are things cutting out, or is it just me?
It's kind of just a tiny bit. I've noticed it a couple times.
Maybe it's my brain. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. So usually I save my getting to know us for last, but I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Please do.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go ahead and play it because it's so much easier for me to do it in line than it is to do it after the fact. Yeah, it was kind of awkward the last show, sticking it in there, and I just didn't really
That's what she said.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't that easy sticking it in there.
That's what she said.
I know. Yeah. Quit laughing at me. All right. All right. So the first thing I'd like to do, where is getting to know us? Hang on. I can't find it. News. There we go. Okay, first thing I'd like to do is to play some audio feedback from Micah and Brian Coleman regarding the audio meetup, that they're a joint audio meetup between Airplane Geeks.
It's a physical meetup.
It's actually a physical meetup. I'm sorry.
They're just going to have a big, huge phone call on May 17th.
Okay. No. Okay. Start over. First thing I'd like to do is talk about this meetup that is scheduled. It's a joint meetup between, and not the kind of joints. No, not 420. Because it's not 420.
Okay.
It's
start over again.
517 in New Jersey. The Airplane Geeks and The Journey is the Reward podcasts are having a meetup, and they sent us some. And some, they're seeing if there are any APGers in the area that might want to attend. I'm just going to let them say it because I'm just butchering the heck out of it.
Hey, Captain Jeff and crew. This is Brian and Micah from Airplane Geeks and The Journey is the Reward podcasts.
And you know how we always think of all our podcasts as a family and how much we love each other and get along and love to visit? Well, we're going to have a meetup. The Journey is Reward and the Airplane Geeks together are going to have a meetup. And we wanted to invite the APG community because we love you guys too.
Since we're all one big happy family, why not?
Exactly. So on Sunday, May 17th at 4 p.m., we're having a meetup on the east coast of New Jersey, of all places. Why? Because Brian's wonderful mother is having her 91st birthday.
Yeah, and there's a really good chance that Max Flight from Airplane Geeks will be there. Micah, of course, you will be there. I will be there. And hopefully a whole bunch of Airline Pilot Guy people will be at Charlie's Pizza Restaurant and Pub.
There's even a chance, if his health recovery is going really well, David Vanderhoof might make an appearance, and boy, would we love to see him.
Absolutely. So come on out and join us at the meetup.
Hope to see you there Sunday, May 17th, 4 o'clock at Charlie's Pizza Restaurant and Pub, 1980 Route 37 West in Manchester Township, New Jersey. Bear in mind, it's a strip mall, so you have to pull into the strip mall first to find the place. But Brian says it's good, and I trust Brian.
And at least it's not a strip club. Wait, we might get more people to show up if it is.
That sounds interesting.
It does. Yeah, so there you go. So we'll probably play that a couple more times, just in case you missed it on previous shows or whatever.
Unless
so in the
HR
area,
pulls the plug.
Yeah, that's possible too. Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to talk about another one of our co-hosts, in another meetup, a very quick one in an airport. And this is RJ and Captain Dean Yoder, who met up, just bumped into each other. I don't think anybody was injured at the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson. Yeah, so he said that he was deadheading on a flight in, I forgot from where, but he was deadheading on a flight, and he heard this voice doing the PAs, and he said, that sounds like RJ. And then so after the flight, he went up there and said, hey, RJ, this is, I'm a fellow APGer, and I don't remember exactly what the conversation was because he didn't tell me, but I'm just imagining it. But Captain Dean has sent us at least one, but probably multiple pieces of feedback in the past. So he's an active listener and part of our APG community. So it's kind of cool to see. We have a picture that we're showing here in the video, and we'll have that. You're probably looking at it if you're, using a podcast player that has chapter images available to it. If you're listening on Spotify and some of these other platforms, you're not. You just have to go to the little link there that says show notes for APG 705 to see this, and just scroll down until you get to the Getting to Know Us segment. And you can see their wonderful faces. Looks like they're having a good time. So thank you, RJ, for sending that in. And let's see. The other thing is... we
don't have to talk about the other thing.
Okay. Well...
okay. I was wrong. I'll cover it. I was wrong.
Why? How are you wrong?
Because I was the one that said that Atlanta doesn't have ASDX.
Yeah, and I said...
But you said it does. Yeah. Atlanta. So I was not being very clear. What I was trying to say was that we do not have transponders built into our vehicles that support ASDX. The airport itself has ASDX, and I apologize if I misconstrued or gave mistaken information.
Well, I thought that's what you meant when you said that there was no ASDX at Atlanta. I'm thinking, huh? Really?
So they do still have the radar systems and all that to be able to track vehicles, but it's kind of like primary targets on a radar screen. So they don't have any identification information associated with it unless it has a transponder. So all they see from me is a vehicle. There's a car moving.
We really didn't make an error. We just we just had to do a clarification.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Yeah.
And we're re-recording that part of the episode from the last week, and we'll take care of that.
No, we are not doing that. It's going to stay out there forever. And
this is one of my favorite phrases, Tim. I thought I was wrong once. Turns out I was only mistaken.
Yeah. And I've also done my thing that I like to do. And that's pretty much it for me. So now we go to the next contestant on the Getting to Know Us show. Who is?
I'll go real quick.
All right.
Nothing. I think
That's what she said.
I flew once with our friend Steven, did some couple of approaches, went down and had lunch at Pete State, last weekend, and that was
nice.
quite a nice flight. Got to play in the clouds a little bit. Learned a new ATC cheat code, which I thought was pretty cool. Something that I had never heard specifically of. And that's called local IFR. So if you are filing an IFR flight plan and it goes between multiple sectors, there's required coordination between those sectors for your flight plan to go from Atlanta approach to Birmingham or Huntsville or Atlanta Center or whoever, any other facility. And the reason I found out about this, because I was having issues with my EFB on my tablet getting a flight plan to file. And so I picked up the phone and I called 1-800-WX-BRIEF and I filed a flight plan on the phone. And even that wouldn't show up in the system. So I don't know what was going on. Somebody did not want me to go flying that day. So
That's safety.
It was a natural safety system built into So I ended up getting a hold of the phone number for the supervisor's desk at the Atlanta TRACON. So I called him up and spoke to a very nice guy, and I said, "Hey, are you guys having any weird issues? Flight plans not populating or something? This, that, and the other?" And he said, "No, what's going on?" I said, "No, this is what I've been doing." He goes, "Okay, here's what I want you to do." He goes, "Are you ready to take off?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, as soon as you take off," and the weather had just gone VFR, so there was a very low cloud ceiling, but just enough that we could actually take off VFR, get in the air, and talk to Atlanta. So he said, "I want you to take off. Call me and just ask for a local IFR. We don't have to go through all that. We don't care how many people you have on board. We don't care how many life rafts you have. We don't care how many socks you're wearing. None of that matters. Just call local IFR and tell them you're qualified and capable." And man, it was the smoothest thing ever. It was so much better than doing a pop-up IFR. When you ask for a pop-up IFR, you have to give them the colors of your airplane, what navigation equipment you have, all this stuff. You call up local IFR, "Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to go do this approach and this approach." And they're like, "Cool, squawk this, carry on." So really,
There's your tip of the day.
There you go. Now that could be wrong. So, your mileage may vary, but it worked for me. So that was a neat thing that I learned. And speaking to a few other controllers out around the NAS, it is a known thing. It's maybe not as well known on the pilot side, but it's very well known on the air traffic control side. Because basically what it was is that my flight plan, I was staying at airports that were within the TRACON, the Atlanta's TRACON area. So I never had to go outside of a facility to talk to anybody else. They just literally passed my strip across the room as opposed to sending it out to another building. So that's what made it so easy. Other than that,
we'll publish an aviation vocabulary guide to go so people can understand all the things, so those words that you used.
National Aerospace System. I don't remember what other terms they use. Sorry, I'm bad about that. TRACON is the Terminal Radar Terminal Radar Control Area. Thank you. Yes. Did I do any other?
I think I'm not sure about the area. Terminal Radar.
No, area is a TERSA. That's a little bit different, but it's Terminal Radar Control.
Sometimes we pilots kind of get into our lingo, and forget that none ever stands it. So there you go.
It doesn't matter what TRACON means. It's a TRACON. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a TRACON. Controllers. Yeah.
What was the other thing I was going to say something else, and then I lost it.
Oh, sorry. Threw you off.
That's okay. I finished my story, or finished my aircraft movement area license test. I officially have an AMA license for the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Excuse me, it's Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International.
That's what I just say. Atlanta International. I try to say that.
ATL.
And this show, I think I've already said Hartsfield like 10 times or something ridiculous.
They have it. It's an acronym, HJAIA, and it's on everything. Oh man, anyway. Okay. So I didn't quite get all the information. So on Wednesday, I woke up with a really bad sinus infection. My sinuses were just, they had left the building. And so I was miserable all day, but I had this appointment scheduled for 4:00 and it's all the way down at the airport. It's an hour away, but to get one of these appointments is kind of a process. It's a real thing. So if I didn't make this one, I would have had to wait a couple of weeks, if not more. And so I was like, you know what? I just got to go down and take this test. I've studied my butt off. I know the test. It's not hard. I can be able to get in, get out, and I'll just suffer through driving back and forth, and I'll be okay. So loaded up on lots of the cold and sinus medication, and made it down to the airport. And turns out I had to sit through a 90-minute training class of all the information that I'd already done multiple training classes about, and it turned into a 4-hour process, and I was miserable. I was very upset. But the great success was I left with my license in hand. So it worked out. But it was a miserable day.
Yay. So now you're an official Ask Me Anything.
You can ask me anything. I'm probably going to give you the wrong answer.
Every time I hear that AMA, I'm thinking in the YouTube influencer world, that means Ask Me Anything.
Oh, see, it always reminds me of the Academy of Model Aeronautics, which is the...
Or Amarillo.
Organization.
Wow, so many different things for AMA. Yeah, Captain Nick, is he still awake?
He's awfully still for being still awake.
Yeah, he's
still
mesmerized by our conversation.
There he goes.
Can you hear me now? Well, I was just trying to think of something to say, actually, because not much has happened for me either. But I did have a nice experience. Now, I'm not a great one for, mentioning products, but I have in the past talked about things like my walk-around torch. I love this German product. It's called a lead lenser, and this I did more walk-arounds with this little torch. You can shake a stick out. And
for the rest of the world, he's not carrying something on fire. That's a flashlight.
Indeed. No, it's a torch. It's a torch. Horrible American language. So anyway, I've mentioned that in the past. Anyway, I saw this thing online and I thought, well, that's a bit expensive, but it looks like a fun thing. And what's more, it's a kit. So I bought it. Now, can I get this up in front of the screen? The cable's a little short. I don't know if it's going to focus. But
sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, look there, you can see the bottom of it, or the top of it, I should say. But it is actually a clock.
Hide your eyes.
Yeah, rather than being hands, it tells you the time. So it currently says 25 past 10 in letters on the screen, and it's really novel, and I love it. And I went, oh, that's great, little project, little electronic project.
It is a much better way than just saying 10:25. You're right.
There you go.
It's much more personal.
Indeed.
And formal.
And very British.
Do you have an atomic version of that we could put in Jeff's RV?
Don't you start that.
He'd be a bit worried about the radiation, wouldn't he? I don't know. But anyway.
It wouldn't have any effect on me. No.
I'd have to reset it, though.
I
wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
assembled my little project, and then the instructions, because you've got to program a Pico W Raspberry Pi computer, which is in it. And I must have made a mistake because I ended up unable to control it. So I got in touch with them on Facebook, and when I did a little delving, they're a family of, I'm assuming, brothers and sisters. One brother and a couple of three sisters, perhaps, and in varying ages, but all very young. And they are running this little business called gurgleapps.com. So Gurgle, as you would imagine, apps.com. And they build and sell this little fantastic little clock. And I did a Zoom call with Jason, who is the elder brother. And he must have just come home from school, and he talked me through setting this up properly, and it was quite complicated because there's an awful lot of software in there they've written, downloading bits and rewriting over the top of bits. But anyway, fantastic customer service. We got it going, and I'm absolutely delighted with it. And I was so chuffed, I thought I would mention it on the podcast. Which,
nice.
So if you're interested in a really novel desk clock, then have a look at gurgleapps.com for their world clock. And
I just looked at their website. That's really neat.
Yeah. Oh, is it a word clock? Oh, damn.
Because it's words.
RGB word clock kit.
There you go. Okay.
Wi-Fi
I thought it said, I must have misread that. Sorry about that. So thank you for correcting me, Liz. And so a little family affair, just trying to make, I guess, a few quid. But they all know their stuff. They're very good. They 3D print most of this, and with their dad's help, I gather. But they do it in all the software themselves, and I'm really chuffed. Anyway, that by the by. Cover art, yes, please. Let's. I'll have to look at the screen now. Yes, I remember now. Cover art. We Indeed. We were looking at beckoning cats to give you good luck, called Maniki Nico, our beckoning cats. And we were chatting that one of the podcasts we know about uses these in the background. So when the swinging arm stops, they know that their feet has frozen, which I thought was kind of novel.
I think it was Captain Stefan who was talking about that, right?
That's right. Very good. And we were having an awful lot of very close calls. We were talking about incidents.
This is the actual photo from that Nashville incident where the guy was going right in front of the other. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I thought, well, that's a great chance here to get some good luck going in the world of aviation. So we've got a pair of beckoning cats, and we need more lucky cats. Now, where's
nice
all
tail.
the little hidden Easter eggs? Can you see a logo in there, anybody?
It's got a tramp stamp.
What?
Ah.
The tattoo just above the waist is known as a tramp stamp.
Yeah, if you look at the top left-hand corner of the U for lucky, top left-hand branch, there you go. It's just sticking out of the cat's tail. Is half a logo, and if you go to the next one, sticking out of the next cat's tail, which is just to the by the top of the S, there's the other half of the logo. There you go.
Wow.
Oh, exactly.
And a golden penguin I spy there too, I think.
There, well done. You spotted the penguin. Yeah, there is. There's penguin. He's also a beckoning penguin this week.
That's great.
So
I've not seen those in the shops, but that
very rare, very rare. Lucky penguin.
I must admit, I'd much rather have a beckoning penguin than a beckoning cat, but especially a beckoning jackass.
I'd rather have a beckoning beaver.
There you go. No accounting for taste, Jeff. And did you find the show number, everybody? Yeah, it is in the collar.
Yeah.
The little pattern in the collar, there's a 705 in there. So there you go.
Nice.
Thanks for those good suggestions for the beckoning cat show art.
Very nice. All right, good. We're finished with that segment, which means that we only. Oh, a coffee fund. Yeah, we can do that. We can. Yeah, hang on. Let me get back here and push this button.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup. Oh yeah, the Coffee Fund is your way to support the show financially. And if you do that, if you become a new contributor or like a new patron or a new contributor to our coffee fund system, then we talk about you in a nice way on this segment of the show. Nobody to talk about this week, sadly, but it's still open and available to you if you want to support us financially. Two different ways. One is the PayPal, old-fashioned, OG way of contributing. Most people use it for a one-off, two-off, whatever, every now and then kind of contribution. We do have a handful of people that are using it in a recurring fashion as well. But most people who are doing a recurring contribution to us are patrons of the show via patreon.com. So information about those two methods to join the Coffee Fund Cadre or the Coffee Bar Club, please head over and visit our website, airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll receive instructions about how to do it there. You'll be glad you did. And we will too. All right. All right. We can do that. All right. Let's see. Shall we wait for Nick to come back or not? All right. He can figure it out. All right. Let me get set up here. We're starting with O1B1, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Okay. I do, yeah, but I just got to set up my media thing. Make sure I'm ready for that. My keynote, I guess I should say. Keynote. There we go. And
sorry about that. Just had to attend to Raga, who's not very well.
No problemo.
And he can't get up the stairs tonight.
Oh, no.
Oh, poor puppy.
Yeah.
And those are not easy stairs to get up, even for a human.
That's very true, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to hit the feedback bumper. Here we go. I mean, news bumper. Here we go. Now it's time for some news.
Stand by for news.
All right, we are going to use a New York Times created 3D model to visualize the sight lines of this LaGuardia crash, the CRJ 900 and the firefighting vehicle. And I just was fascinated by this. It was great work by the New York Times recreation, yeah. So, and we have, I think, 3 or 4 videos, 4 videos that I'll be playing to show, to illustrate what they may have been seeing in the fire truck and in the aircraft right just prior to the crash. The rapidly approaching plane that collided. The rapidly approaching plane that collided with a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport last month was most likely hard for the firefighters to see. A New York Times analysis is found. They were navigating in the rain on a taxiway that was angled away from the oncoming plane. Because the plane had just touched down, the pilots and the firefighters were left with very little time to react. The collision killed both pilots and was the first deadly crash at the airport in over 3 decades. The 2 firefighters who were rushing to another emergency survived with injuries. The Times built a 3D model, interviewed aviation experts, and analyzed flight data, video footage of the crash, and air traffic control audio, all to answer a critical question: what could the firefighters see? The 2 firefighters were driving on taxiway Delta in the lead vehicle of a convoy that had been dispatched to assist with an emergency on the other side of the airport from the fire station. Their fire truck, a type that can weigh upward of 60,000 pounds when fully loaded, is designed with the driver's seat in the center, in part to offer better visibility. The other firefighter typically sits to the right of the driver. The air traffic control tower had cleared an Air Canada Express jet to land on runway 4. About 2 minutes later, the tower cleared the truck to cross the same runway using taxiway Delta. 11 seconds later, the tower called back with an urgent warning to stop, but the truck kept moving. It is unclear if the firefighters in the truck heard the warnings. Okay, so we're going to look at the driver's perspective first, and the second firefighter would have had a better view, but for him, the plane would most likely not have stood out as a moving object until it grew closer to the truck. Even as the plane was approaching, it would have stayed in roughly the same position in his field of view, making the plane more difficult to track than if it had been moving across his line of sight. This is a familiar phenomenon, and Captain Nick and we've talked about it many times on this show, but Captain Nick in particular has mentioned this many times, this phenomenon documented in aviation and maritime navigation, in which an object approaching on a collision course can appear to be stationary until the last moment when it seems to suddenly grow in size. Here is what the view for the second firefighter would have been, or could have been, if he had been leaning forward slightly with his head turned about 90 degrees to the right and looking toward the plane. So if you'll throw that up there, Liz. Okay, thank you, because I'm not looking at that. And here we go. I'm going to hit this button here. And okay, this is what the firefighter sitting in that center seat might see, and it's saying the plane is kind of obscured by the firefighter sitting on the right side, in the right seat. Shall I play that again? Okay. There we go. He's looking, but doesn't see the airplane because the firefighter sitting on the right seat is blocking, his head's blocking the view of the airplane. Okay. Well, yeah, I think so. Liz, let's talk about that. The second firefighter's perspective. Crash footage shows that there was one vehicle in the convoy initially traveling alongside the fire truck, and it may also have blocked the firefighters' view of the runway before it came to a stop about 7 seconds before the crash. Based on the available evidence, there's no way to know with certainty where the firefighters were looking in the seconds before the crash. The runway where the crash occurred is bidirectional, meaning planes can approach one at a time for landing in both directions. As a result, the firefighters would not necessarily have been able to assume the direction of oncoming planes.
Disagreement with that one.
Yeah, I know.
Turning an airport around is not. That's a incorrect statement.
Yeah, I agree. But these journalists, maybe they didn't quite grasp.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things, the way we refer to a runway. So that runway was
422.
422, yeah. You don't refer to it as runway 22 if they're landing on 4. You refer to it as runway 4, and that is kind of an important distinction. Is that they did have a clue which direction to look because they were cleared to cross runway 4. All the signage, their knowledge of the airport, they know where the approach end of runway 4 is. That is a clue of where to look. So, sorry, little side note.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Good side note. The two firefighters, Sergeant Michael Orcio and Officer Adrian Baez, who were hospitalized along with about 40 others, did not respond to requests for comment. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which runs LaGuardia Airport and its fire rescue unit, declined to comment. Yeah, a lot of litigation, I'm sure, and lawsuits and that kind of thing. So the lead fire truck had been driving along a taxiway that was angled away from the direction of the oncoming plane. This means that the plane was approaching off the right rear section of the truck, where it would have been difficult for the firefighters to see, instead of his direct right-hand side. As a result of the angle, the driver would have had a difficult time. Okay, wait a minute. I don't think that's where I wanted to go here. Okay. I think maybe I must have scrolled past.
Was there a video view of the
the second firefighter? Yeah, I thought for some reason it's no longer in the article that to which I'm referring, but I do have the video in the keynote, so let me move to that.
I think the note was the video shows the estimated speeds of the truck and the plane is above the part that you read.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's look at what the second in this simulation may have seen. Okay, ready? All right, so here's the Air Canada jet. This is this guy in the right seat. If he had been looking to his right about 90 degrees, that would have been what he saw. But as the article mentions, there's no way to know, really, where they were looking.
One other thing about this is that that's not what he saw, because that's a very clearly outlined airplane. This was at night in the rain. He saw 3 or 4 white lights among a sea of white lights.
Exactly.
So I don't know that that's a fair argument that he could, because you can clearly see the airplane, and that's not real life.
And this next one here is kind of a bird's eye view, and 5,000 foot above view of the runway 04, I should say, and the fire truck on Delta crossing, and kind of get an idea of the converging the speeds and the divergent angle that the fire truck was in relation to the CRJ 900 landing on runway 04. So he's coming up, touchdown, 1,400 feet would be the impact with the fire truck. Boom. Okay. And finally, they have put together the simulation to see possibly what the CRJ pilots would have seen. No, this is the captain's side, I believe. If I'm looking at
this looks like the left side of the aircraft.
Yeah, left side. Yeah. And they're touching down, and they see the fire truck coming from the left, and then boom. Probably thinking that this fire truck was going to stop, because obviously they see me, right? No. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was a really interesting article and 3D modeling simulation there to kind of get an idea of what it's possible that they would have been able to see during this incident.
I think the more that comes out about this incident, and there's a little bit of, to lay blame is not the right thing, but
place blame.
Yeah, okay. I don't like the word blame. I don't want to put blame on this, but
learning lessons.
Yeah, the least culpable party, in my opinion, of this is the firefighters. They had the least visibility, the least likeliness of being able to see that aircraft, the least likelihood of having the situational awareness to know that there was an airplane landing, because they're not on that frequency until they're immediately asking for something. So it's not like other airplanes where they have to be listening to that frequency the whole time, and a basic SA is paying attention to the other stuff that's talking, not just you. Situational awareness. So I think they had the least responsibility for this. They were operating on the trust of the air traffic controller that told them they were clear to cross the runway. I'd argue there's equal levels of responsibility between the pilot and, the air traffic controller, he made the mistake. The pilots had just as much of an opportunity to prevent this mistake by having the situational awareness and paying attention to, hey, he just cleared somebody to cross our runway. Is that right? We heard it in the cockpit voice recorder, so we know it was audible to them.
Yeah.
Unknown if they paid attention to it or if they recognized that was what was happening. So, but the least responsible of the group, in my opinion, is the firefighting crew.
Well, this next news item kind of ties in with all of that. Also from the New York Times, the headline, Port Authority to install tracker not used during deadly LaGuardia crash. Federal investigators have said that the lack of a transponder on a fire truck played a role in a deadly collision with an Air Canada Express jet at LaGuardia. They said on Tuesday that it will install trackers on rescue vehicles at its 3 major airports after investigators faulted the agency for not having the recommended devices on a fire truck during a deadly collision with a jet at LaGuardia. In a preliminary report on the deadly crash issued last week, the National Transportation Safety Board highlighted the fire truck's lack of transponder that would have constantly sent signals about its location to LaGuardia's air traffic control tower. The device would have connected with an existing automatic warning system, which could have alerted controllers to the impending collision with an Air Canada Express jet, the investigators said. On Tuesday, James Allen, a spokesman for the Port Authority, said it would be expanding the use of the devices recommended by the Federal Aviation Administration to its major airports after testing them at Newark Liberty Airport last year. He said that the Port Authority recognized that transponder technology can provide an additional layer of visibility on top of existing surface surveillance systems that already track ground movements. He said the Port Authority will be expanding that capability across our airports, building on the technology already in place. Now, Captain Nick, it was this article that you were reading, right, that you thought something kind of jumped out at you regarding a statement made?
Yeah, it did, and it brings up the point that seeing the aircraft was far from the only clue that the fire truck driver would have had that he was not clear to enter the runway, despite the fact he'd received a clearance from the controller, and that was the presence of the runway entry lights, the RELs. There are a series of red lights along the center line of the taxiway leading up to the runway along Delta, and there's probably a couple of 100 feet of these lights, but they're a significant indicator that the runway is occupied. It's an autonomous system, a computer controlled, based on the fact that it recognizes an aircraft is landing, and the runway is currently dangerous for a vehicle to enter. And the fire truck would have more or less run the full length of the taxiway up to the runway with these red lights illuminated, and the whole purpose of this lighting system is to prevent aircraft or vehicles entering the runway when the runway is occupied, and it would be dangerous to do so. So I do wonder why they weren't checking these lights as they ran up to the runway, and their attention was obviously elsewhere. And I don't quite understand the point of having these lights if the drivers aren't trained to check for their presence and use it as an indicator that the runway is not safe to enter. And we as pilots are briefed that it doesn't matter what the air traffic controller has said. If the runway lights, these warning lights, have turned red, you don't proceed, you stop. So I do wonder if the fire truck drivers had the same briefings. I mean, yeah.
I'm looking for that part about the. Is it
I've
in
been
this article,
rereading it, and I'm trying to find it.
Maybe
now.
that was a different article. I don't know.
But it was. Okay. It actually said they were allowed to ignore the presence of the painted surface indicators. So I think they're referring to the lines across the taxiway that would normally be the stop indicators.
So
not these rails, but the rails are in the preliminary, indicating that they were illuminated, and they only extinguished at the point at which the truck entered the runway. Up to all that way up down the taxiway that the truck was proceeding towards the runway, they were illuminated. And in accordance with their programming, the aircraft at that point was so close to them as they entered the runway that the automatics, with only seconds to go before the aircraft crossed, turned those lights off so that they wouldn't deter an aircraft that was taxiing behind the landing aircraft to go ahead. So there was plenty of time for those runways to be seen and acted upon. Those runway lights, those warning lights.
Yeah, having not read that article, the part you said about them being able to ignore painted markings and things like that, the firefighters at Atlanta have a letter of agreement. They have an LOA with the airport that in an emergency they get to go and stage at certain places on the movement area, meaning on active taxiways, without having to contact ground control for that clearance. But that's only in very specific scenarios. They have a very specific route to get there. It does not include crossing any runways, that kind of thing. So I wonder if there's some conflation happening there with a letter of agreement like that. It would blow my mind if there was an LOA that said that firefighting vehicles or any vehicles could cross an active runway without permission. But there are some painted markings that you can ignore.
I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was saying that
And this is a separate comment to what we're talking about the lights.
Okay.
Yeah. The lights I agree with. If there were runway stop bars, the red lights there, that's something we have at Atlanta as well. When the stop bars are lit, it is not a question. It's not a discussion. It doesn't matter if you have permission.
Yeah.
It's very clear that you do not cross the red lights.
No matter what they're saying in the control tower to you on the radio.
Correct. Yeah. Well, so I'm wondering what system, because there's a couple of different versions of that system. The red stop bars are a very specific thing, that it is a row of red lights. You do not cross those red lights. There are standardized lighting that the center line lights in the taxiway are normally green. As you approach a runway entrance or a crossing, they start alternating green and white, just to indicate, it's another indication that you're approaching a runway. And I don't know
in the preliminary report, AJ, they have pictures or photographs of the actual lights.
They do. Okay,
and,
I'll have to go back and look at
it
those.
is a pair of lights that go down the center line, one either side, like the center line lights do. But this is an additional row of lights on either side of the center line lights that illuminate red. And they stretched quite a way back down Delta, all the way up to the edge of the runway.
I got you.
So
that would be a significant clue.
Yeah. So despite the fact that they had problems seeing the aircraft, these lights are right in front of them, and they know that they were illuminated on the night when this aircraft landed because they have video of them illuminated. So I do wonder why they I can quite understand sometimes if your attention is drawn away, but if you're disciplined to check everything you need to check to safely cross a runway, and this is something we alluded to with the passenger, not the passenger, the other fire personnel beside the driver. When we were in a cockpit and we were going to cross a live runway, we would both look and we would both clear with each other that we were that it was visually safe to cross. And if I had a jump seat passenger, I would include him in this. So if I had three guys on the flight deck, all three of us, and I would need verbal agreement from all three or even all four of us in the old days, and we used to have lots of pilots, that it was safe to cross. I don't know if the same procedures. Oh, well done. You found them, Liz. Liz has popped them up.
That was me.
Oh, well done, Jeff.
I was doing
you found it. It looks like it's a single line of red lights. I might have misled you saying there was other, but it's beside the existing taxiway lights, and it's a red light that appears there. But anyway, it's an indication. It's for when it's safe to proceed. But we used to have a specific drill when we crossed the runway in that everyone looked and everyone cleared. And I wonder whether there were people on that fire truck who had nothing better to do than to help do that, and whether they briefed it, and whether that was a normal procedure for them every time they crossed a runway. I don't know. I hope I'm not doing them a disservice by suggesting that. But if they didn't do it, then we used to do it on the aircraft, on the flight deck. Surely that would be a safe thing for them to have done as well.
Yeah. We're going to find out as the investigation continues, and I'm sure they'll mention several of the things that we're talking about on today's episode. And
the horrible
previous.
thing is that we're kind of disparaging people, and we don't mean to do that.
No, we don't.
All we're trying to do here is drive our way to a safer world in aviation, and if that means adopting new procedures or changing the way we do things, then that's what we have to do.
Yeah. All right, Liz, what do you think? C? Okay. So we have a final report now issued by the National Transportation Safety Board of the incident that occurred in Naples, Florida, on Interstate 75 on February 9th, 2024, a Hoppajet Challenger crash. The airplane was turning toward the final approach course about 5 miles northeast of the destination airport when a master warning light illuminated on the glare shield, and 1 second later, a corresponding red message was displayed on the engine indicating and crew alerting system, we call it ICAS, with an engine oil voice advisory. 23 seconds later, while the airplane was about 1,000 feet pressure altitude and 122 knots on a shallow intercept angle for the final approach course, the crew announced to the airport air traffic control tower, "Lost both engines. Emergency. I'm making an emergency landing." The tower controller acknowledged the transmission, cleared the airplane to land. Shortly after, a flight crew member replied, we're clear to land, but we're not going to make the runway. We've lost both engines." The airplane touched down on a highway while in a slight left bank. It then veered right, traveled off the highway. The airplane's right wing struck a non-frangible highway sign. The airplane then veered further to the right and impacted a concrete sound barrier wall. A post-crash fire ensued, and the cabin attendant and 2 passengers were able to egress through the baggage compartment door in the tail section of the airplane. The 2 flight crew members were fatally injured, and 1 ground occupant sustained a minor injury. You'll recall that we talked about this when they issued the preliminary report and some other post current accident investigation releases as they were investigating this thing. I'm not saying that very well, sorry. It's the drugs. They're getting to me. But one of the things that they were really, placing a lot of interest and focus on was, of course, the engines. Why did both engines stop operating, stop producing thrust? Almost, simultaneously. That's weird. What are the chances, right? Captain Nick, I think that you're probably better prepared than I to kind of address what it is that they determined about these engines. Why did they stop? What's happening here?
Yeah, this is interesting, and I'm not particularly familiar with the engine type, so I'm going to talk in general terms. But the first thing to note is that they had the engines at idle, approaching the point where they had the engine failures. And this was completely consistent with the profile they had previously flown to the same airport. So when they examined the data from the 2 flights, they found that in the previous flight they'd had the engines at a very low power setting at this point as they were turning on to the final intercept point, and then they increased power to hold the glide path and keep their speed at normal so that they could progress to land. Now, from this idle position, they discovered that when they advanced the throttles, they demanded more power, but the engines refused to accelerate, and that was the kind of issue that the engines had that prevented them from giving power to accelerate and hold their speed, and what caused them to drop low and subsequently do this very amazing crash landing where, very sadly, both pilots died. And the important thing here is to realize that they got the engine core, the N2 speeds, back to about 62-65%, somewhere around there. And then the RPMs remain constant despite the fact that the throttle command was increasing. And at that point, the N2 is, we're talking here, is the speed measured of the particular section of the compressor blades at the front of the engine. The N2 rolled back and decreased to a sub-idle state, and the interturbine temperature, the ITT, increased. Now, this is completely consistent with a stall of the engine. Now, those spinning blades at the front of the engine, they need to have airflow going through them to compress, to push into the burning section of the engine, and whereupon the combustion takes place, it blows out the back. The turbine, which drives the front end, is powered, and thrust is achieved. When you don't get airflow through the front of the engine, but you're still pumping fuel in, then the fuel's going to burn, but it's not going to be thrust out of the back, and the temperature of in the core of the engine will rise significantly, and that is exactly what's happened. So why have the blades on the front of the engine rolled back to this sub-idle? And when they say sub-idle, the speed of the engine is idle. So when it drops below idle but still rotating, it's sub-idle. Okay, so when they examined the sets of blades, not the spinning set, but the stationary set that is in between each spinning set, the guide vanes, when they looked at those, they discovered a problem on both engines. Now, the problem really was these guide vanes, they twist and set new angles depending upon the demands of the engines, and they're really there to guide the airflow onto the set of blades that are behind them. So they just keep the airflow flowing smoothly through the engine and continue allowing them to be continually the air to be compressed so that we end up with our combustion engine. And when those guide vanes don't move into the correct position, they're just like a wing. They will stall. And when they stall, the airflow is interrupted, and that smooth flow of air through the engine stops. It doesn't come stationary because they call it a rotating stall. So the blades are still spinning. They're just not doing it efficiently enough to keep the engine running properly. When they tried to move these guide vanes, they discovered that there was extensive corrosion on both sets, on the guide vanes of both sets of engines. And in particular, VG Stage 5 they mention. And when they tried to move the guide vanes, they found that the corrosion didn't allow them to move to full treble. So not only were the blades eroded and in poor condition, they didn't move properly. I mean, they do mention that this is completely normal in an aircraft that has operated in a high corrosion area. And funny old thing, a high corrosion area would be an airport near the coast where there's lots of sea spray, lots of salt, lots corroding stuff, high humidity, etc. And anything associated with a marine climate, which is where the aircraft had been based in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And a good clue to the fact that you've got problems with your blades is actually occurs during start, because these IGVs, these inlet guide vanes, have to go into the correct position to allow the engine to accelerate properly during a start. And when they're not in the correct position, the start hangs. You don't get proper combustion. The temperature rises too fast in the flame tubes, and you have to abort the start before everything gets a bit out of control. So they had hung starts on both of the accident aircraft engines while the pilots were preparing for taxi, and that occurred only 25 days before the accident. Now, what is tragic in this particular accident is that both engines had this issue, and the previous flight had gone beautifully, but on this particular flight, when they advanced the throttles to get a bit more power to stabilize their approach, both engines, more or less simultaneously, suffered engine stalls at an altitude that was too low for them to go through any procedure that would allow them to clear those stalls, clear the airflow, get the engines to accelerate again and recover the situation. And that is just an awful coincidence. It really was for them, because if you get one engine stall, you go, okay, fair enough, we'll be able to get away with this because we've got two engines. But when it happens more or less simultaneously, both your engines, both your power plants, you're stuffed. Absolutely. And I just feel it's dreadful that it happened. I don't overly want to criticize the engineering aspects because no one really expected it, and the inspections were being done at the correct interval. But since then, the engine manufacturers, of course, have changed their procedures so that they are inspected and these particular functions of these moving vanes are tested more frequently. So, you know, it's very sad for the results of this accident, but hopefully if you're flying one of these aircraft or using these engines, you can be safe, I hope, in the knowledge that the procedures have changed and it's very unlikely that anything close to this would happen to you.
Very good point. Great analysis. Thank you for a great summary from the final report here. And also to add, and Liz had mentioned it in the background, that you know, we have to also give kudos to the training of the flight attendant to, you know, think so clearly in the moment, to know that they're not getting out the front door. They're going to have to go, you know, get out of the airplane from another exit, and knowing and remembering in that moment that we can go through the aft lavatory and there's a door back there that we can go through the baggage, rear baggage compartment, open that door and get out of the aircraft. And that is, she is responsible for the 2 lives that were saved, the 2 passengers, I believe, and herself. Yeah. So
yeah, very well done, keeping her you know, senses working in such an awful situation, and you know, staying alert enough to remember that and make it happen. I'm very impressed.
Yep. That's why they're there, folks. That's what they're trained to do. They're not there to give you the drinks and the Cheez-It snacks and the cookies. You know, well, they do that too, but the main reason why they're there is for your safety and to help you out of the airplane when you need to be helped out.
But I do remember from the RT how much we all commented how calm the pilots seemed. They were making radio calls indicating that they'd lost both their engines and they weren't going to be able to make the airport, but they sounded as cool as cucumbers. They were being incredibly professional. Sadly, there was very little they could do that could have recovered. I think it's impossible they could have recovered the situation. And they did the best job they could, and as a result of their landing, sadly, they perished, but the rest of the occupants survived.
Yeah. All right. Yes, thank you very much. And now, guess what? It is time to wrap up the show. And as always, we point you over to our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where you'll find information, all kinds of information there about the crew and the community, which is the most important part of all of this. The community calendar, merchandise. We have a library there. We have a separate dedicated Plane Tales page to get more information about each of those episodes and so much more. So please do check out our website, airlinepilotguy.com. And we're also on social media.
I think I did it last time. Nick, it's your turn.
Fair enough. Now, if you're a Faceplant fan and you enjoy sharing all your personal information with the owner of Facebook, then you will probably want to go to facebook.com/airline pilot guy, all one word. And alternatively, you can share your life story on X. And if you want to see us there, we're at APG Crew. Now, we don't have much to do on Instagram, but I do stick the artwork up there, and you can find that on my Instagram account, which is irrelevant, but mainly on instagram.com/APG Crew. And of course, this very video, which we're making right this second, is available on youtube.com/Airline Pilot Guy. Unedited, unexpurgated, all the swear words and everything that goes with them.
And you get that wonderful smell of sausage being made in the background. Yes. All right. And it's not stinky sausage, Liz. Come on. Yeah. And of course,
just because I've got a stinky sausage, yeah.
Well, I don't want to hear about that, actually. Hello? Hello? Can you tell us about Slack, please? Help me?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Oh, come on over here, sit down, and tell us all about it.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and Plain Tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel. All right.
Happy birthday, Hillel.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday. Just a few days ago.
Happy
birthday to you.
Yeah.
Trust tomatoes and stew.
That's
Bread
enough
and
of that.
butter
Okay,
in the
and
gutter.
yay to Hillel's birthday and to our
Hooray.
producer, curator,
Hooray. Thank
Miss
you,
Liz
Liz. Well
Piper.
done.
Thank
Good
you,
job.
Not
Liz.
my birthday, but thanks.
No,
Yeah,
you
well,
did a
you're
brilliant
going to
job
have one
today.
eventually. Well, you just had one, actually, not too
I
long
did.
ago.
Yeah.
All right. And we'd also like to applaud and thank our live audience who
Yes.
contribute so much to the show. And yeah, with that, we're going to go ahead and end this one by saying, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Bye, everybody.
You're welcome.
See you next time. All right, you
That was a
made
bit of,
Hello.
a bit of dead
we
air.
made it. A little bit of a delay there, but we made it.
Nothing, a little bit of splitting and
quick chop.
splicing and moving will take care of it.
Yeah.
There will be no
You'll-
hesitation
I
you'll
quite like
fix
the
it all up.
pauses.
Yeah.
You didn't really
You like to
miss
see
much,
my
Sam.
face. Like,
Yes. Are you going to say something?
hello. I'm thinking,
All
did
right,
we just
so
freeze?
Nick, you've got some stuff to work with there. I've got a couple of things, and I think there's some of
Go
the
on then.
flying chipmunks. We were talking about chipmunks flying around. People were saying they had seen flying squirrels, but they hadn't seen flying chipmunks. Gliding chipmunks. I don't know. A moth to a flame. We have got this animal thing going on. And then there were some in the chat here, I think.
We have my friend Fred has hairy balls. Trust
Yeah.
your hairy balls.
Uh-huh.
We had the joint meetup, which I thought was quite good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And
Yeah, hairy balls. There we are. And trust your instrument. Trust your
Trust your-
instrument. That's
right.
from that Tim Van Ram guy. Not quite sure.
expressing the AP gland.
Oh yeah, the AP gland. Yeah, yeah, that whole AP gland thing.
Yes,
It sounds so
exactly.
gross.
It sounds like treatment for the APG syndrome, doesn't it?
Oh, it could be
A
part
new
of it.
treatment, yes.
Yeah.
Your
Yes,
AP
Micah
gland.
has swollen AP glands. I don't know.
Oh, dear.
Swollen AP glands.
Mikey, you may want to consult the doctor about that.
Now, Micah, you've got some suggestions about crossing the red light district. I'm just thinking it's a little too soon
Yeah,
after
not a fan
that
of that one.
accident for that. I think
Yeah.
we might not go
Too
there, but yeah. Uh-huh. I
But
don't
nice
know.
thought. Yes.
Yeah. I don't
I'm sure Fred's hairy balls. Actually, I haven't seen Fred for a long time. So
I know. What's
perhaps we
happened
ought
to
to mention
Fred?
him.
He must be deep
He's a
on
happily married man and with too much to do to listen to APG, I'm sure.
No, I just thought he must be in a lot of secret missions somewhere. I don't know.
That could be
Oh,
as
that
well.
could be it. That
Yeah.
could be
In
it.
parts of the world that are
Other parts
unheard
doesn't
of.
Yeah,
reach, don't
exactly.
reach. Yes.
You never know. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great weekend. It is Friday. Yep. Have a good weekend.
Oh, we got a bank holiday on Monday. We
Ooh.
got a long
Oh,
weekend.
look at you. 3 day
Yeah.
long.
Not that it means
But
anything.
I was going to say, I'm
people, but-
retired every
I
day.
know.
So bank holiday.
I know. Anyway, we'll see you next week sometime, everybody. Have a good one.
Yeah, look up.
Bye.
Bye.